How big is the world of voiceover? It's big. We've already talked about getting started as an actor, getting started as a voiceover actor, and that is through taking classes, defining your signature, putting together a voiceover demo reel. Now, you want to go from there and discover all the possibilities in the voiceover world. In this video, I'm going to share with you many of the possibilities, and there may be even more. Let's get started. The voiceover world is huge. We've talked about already taking classes, getting your signature going, getting your commercial demo going. Now let's look at what other opportunities there are in the voiceover world. Well, first, there are audiobooks, reading someone's work. Now, there are all kinds of audiobooks. Some are fictional, where you'll have lots of maybe storytelling and different characters, you'll have different voices. Some might be more technical and dry, literally just giving instructions. It varies, so it depends on what appeals to you to read, but also what your voice comes across as. There are two key elements of being an audiobook narrator that are very important. The most important is having a voice that can be dependable. And how can you do that? Well, by working out your voice. So look at some of my videos about breathing, articulation, using your voice so that you'll have a voice that's dependable. And if you have a long piece to read and it takes maybe a few days for full days of reading, your voice doesn't get tired or hoarse or it's not hard for you, but rather it's a fun, easy thing to do. Secondly, if it is a novel or a piece that has different characters in it, you're going to want to have a supple voice, something that can actually change around from character to character. Even if it's a subtle change, you want to have a supple voice that can make those kinds of changes. So audiobooks are a terrific way, and even just reading out from a book aloud as practice for yourself is wonderful work. The next type of voiceover work would be industrial. Now, what does that mean, industrial? Does that mean I'm going to be doing chemical voiceover work, talking about, chemicals and chemistry? No, industrial simply means that it's an in-house video for a company. Well, there are lots of possibilities there. For instance, for a long time, I had the contract with the major airlines to give the instructions to their employees whenever they were upgrading their sound system. What did that involve? That involved getting the scripts that were quite long and technical, recording them, and then I would edit them myself, actually, which is something you might be asked to do or might not be asked to do. The more skills you have, the better. But that's not all that they have. There are also in-house videos that they show when there's a company event, when there's a company meeting, and they need someone to narrate that voiceover. That's a possibility. Don't forget that when you call any company, anyone, you get a voice recording. Somebody has had to make that recording. That's the wonderful thing about voiceover work is even as we go forward with more computerized possibilities, things that are done for us automatically, artificial intelligence, the HAL of 2001, Space Odyssey movie, if you will, we're going to still want to respond to the real human voice, somebody really talking. So this is a career you can have forever, using your voice. But think about that. You could be the answerer of these different companies. So, hello, you've reached Patrick Munoz. Please leave a message. You could actually make a career just doing that. You probably want to have more things that you do because they only record once and they keep them for the rest of their company life. But that's one strong possibility. Think about navigation systems or Siri. That one person who got that job recorded that, and that is a great way to make money and to use your talents. So all kinds of things in the industrial world. Promos. Think about when you hear a movie being advertised, and they say, in the old days, we used to have the in a world. And he has passed away. He was wonderful. He made his career. You'll see videos about him having made millions of dollars doing that kind of work. But what I would like you to look at is listen to those promos they have for commercials, for shows that are coming up, on Wednesday night on NBC, or for a product, a promo. Here it comes. So that kind of promotional voice. Another type is animation. Now that's a whole nother world. Animation, think about that. When you're watching something, a cartoon, watching any kind of, one of those cartoons, you'll hear these voices that are so specific. You can think about Fred Flintstone or Wilma Flintstone. There are certain voices and their characters. The Simpsons, Family Guy. Think about these voices. I mean, Seth MacFarlane voices so many of those characters. He's incredible. To have that kind of flexibility in your voice, and also to realize that when you're doing a voiceover like that, you'll really have to expand your voice because it's much more heightened. It's not just a regular commercial read, which is very kind of, close and intimate, but rather it can be wild. Go online and look up when they filmed The Lion King and watch Nathan Lane in the booth. And he's using his whole body to really perform the voice. It's a whole different sort of part of the actor and the voice actor's toolbox to be able to do animation, which is great if you are expressive and you really want to push yourself. Then we have video games, which are very much like animation. So you have different characters. Think about all the different characters you can find in animation. You could find the princess who talks in a certain voice, or you could find the deep, scary Vulcan character. Think about that. One of the exercises I do with some of my voiceover talent is to pull up images from the web of different cartoon characters, things that maybe you haven't seen before, so they're kind of off the grid, so to speak. And come up with your own voice for that. What does that voice sound like? Where is it placed? How would they sound? It's a fun exercise, and whether or not you go into animation or you go into video games, just to expand your voice and expand the possibilities of it is a great exercise. Another wonderful way to make a living as a voiceover actor is to be in a loop group. What's a loop group? Well, whenever you watch a TV show or a movie and there's any sort of background sound, that has been made by a loop group. As I tell you this and you start to watch your favorite sitcom or drama on TV tonight, notice whenever you hear sounds in the background, you'll have the Foley artist doing those kinds of sounds, such as telephone rings or footsteps or door closing. That's another thing. But in terms of just some background sound, those are done by actors, voiceover actors in a loop group. So they'll go to a meeting together in a sound studio, and they'll be shown what the video they're going to be doing this background for. And then they'll do passes by the central microphone, making general kind of talk. So if it's an office scene, well, let's say it's a doctor's office, and so they might be saying things about medical, things, or maybe it's a doctor's office, so there's someone on their phone, on the receptionist's phone, but it's very subtle. Just notice that anything you hear on TV or in a movie, if there's any kind of scene where there's other people around or implied other people around, that's being done by a loop group. So there are many, many, many ways to get involved. Another idea, just to get started, is to be on a podcast or do your own podcast. If you have something that you want to say, a message you want to get out there, something you want to communicate, start a podcast or just be a guest on a podcast. You can really hear yourself, how you sound, how you come across, what your signature is, what you feel comfortable with. All these are ideas that can really help you use your voice, can help you expand the possibilities. The more things you can do, the more possibilities there are. Sometimes it's good just to focus on one area because that's where you are best. That's where your voice lies, and that's where you can make the most impact and make the most income by doing that. Hopefully this helped you expand the possibilities of voiceover work for yourself, for your career, and for your future ahead. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.